seems that lately all I do is make response videos, but here's another one. And this one is pretty funny because I stumbled across this purely coincidental, and I was thinking about making a movie in showing achieved women, because there are a lot of women that do achieve in our current society. Not thanks to feminism. As Margaret Thatcher once said, despite feminism. But then I stumbled on this one and I felt, yeah, you know what? I'm going to answer to this one first. And I'm trying not to laugh, and I'm failing at that. But yeah, I hope I won't step on too many toes here.
You know that vlog series that I once used to have? It was called Matte för Teprat, or as it would be called in English, Matte för Te-vlogg.
Nope, never heard of it. Did I miss much?
And the last time I did one was in 2014, and it was called Death is Complicated. And in general, I hadn't planned to do any more after that, but there is just this one thing that has been bugging me for months, and I felt that I finally needed to talk about it.
Well, I won't make jokes or remarks about your pronunciation, because mine probably isn't perfect either. That's the thing with not speaking English as your native tongue. So I won't go there. But yeah, no, obviously I've already seen your movie, so I could make a silly remark about, oh, what has been bugging you? Has there been a thorn in your side? I know the answer to it, so let's just continue, shall we?
And this thing is the existence of the term feminazi.
Now, how shallow is your life if a term, disregarding which term that is, if a term can vex you for months? It's just a word, mate.
And frankly, I'm baffled that a word like that even exists in today's society.
Yeah, I really am not baffled by that at all. But let's continue with your train of thought, shall we?
I mean, after all these years that women have had to fight for rights, the right to vote, the right to choose any job they want, the right to have the same pay.
Women fought for the right to vote at a time when even men did not all have a right to vote. So that one is basically bullshit. I mean, feminism fought for a right to vote, or at least what we now call feminism, as a segregatory movement. Women needed a right to vote. Nobody gave a fuck about men, though men died for their country. Men were not allowed to choose any job they want, and there were certain jobs they were not allowed to take, just like women were not allowed to take certain jobs. But funny enough, most jobs women could take, just like men could take most jobs. I mean, I've only found one job that women by law in the UK were not allowed to take. They were not allowed to become miners, as in digging underground. That's the only job I can find that they were not allowed to take. And, well, yeah, let's stick with that for now.
And the struggle to get rapists convicted.
Rape was always seen as a negative thing, and there were laws against it. So I'm not really sure where this is coming from. Now, I can understand that you would say, yeah, but in the Bible it says rape is allowed. Yeah, but that's the Bible, mate. That's not law. And I won't say that rape never happened, nor outside nor inside of marriages, but it was never considered a normal thing, let alone a good thing. People did go to jail for it, and people still do go to jail for it.
And what do men do? They ridicule them even more by inventing this shit term called feminazi.
No, mate, the shit term feminazi wasn't invented to ridicule them even more. It was to describe pretty accurate what a feminazi is. You should look it up. I mean, you think that all women are feminists and therefore all women are now called feminazis. Not even 20% of worldwide women are feminist. And I'm willing to state that not all feminists are feminazis, but there are a lot of them. I mean, I'm willing to bet that it's more than a quarter, maybe even a half.
What are you thinking? I mean, what good could that possibly accomplish by ridiculing everyone who fights for women's rights? There is this talk about victimizing men just because people talk how most of the rapists actually just happen to be men.
Yeah, the talk about victimizing men is not just about rapists being mostly men. It's also about laws being changed and being made to basically diminish the position of men in society and increase the position of women in society. And there are no laws protecting men that are not protecting women. But there are laws protecting women that are not protecting men. So, maybe that's something to think about. The talk about how we want equality for men and women is a nice one, and I'm 100% for it. But I can promise you, mate, feminism is not about equality of men and women. It's about the equality of women. And the equality of women to what? Well, to each other apparently, but not to men, because they have more laws protecting them. They have more laws in their favor. Hell, they have positive discrimination in lots of universities. They have positive discrimination in jobs. And okay, on average, women, if you take a year's work of all men and you take a year's work of all women, then on average men get paid more. But that's because men work way more hours, not just a few more hours. I mean, at your age, I can tell you this, mate. If you get a job and a woman gets the fucking same job, she will get paid more than you do. Don't forget that. And personally, I don't give a fuck if my female colleague earns €100 a month more. Who gives a fuck? But it's happening. And we're still talking about how it's the other way around. It hasn't been the other way around for almost 30 years now. Can we please stop with this bullshit?
And these people go all like, so you blame all men for rape? No, we fucking don't. We just say that most of the rapists happen to be men.
Yeah, the problem with that is that you point out that a group of criminals happens to be men, totally forgetting that a group of criminals happens to be women. Now, true, on rape, there are more men perpetrators than female perpetrators, though the number is skewed to say the least, because, for example, in certain countries, as a man, you cannot be raped by a woman. It's by law impossible. Reality shows different, but the law says it's not rape. But by that same argument, we're not calling all women child killers, even though the vast majority of infant death is caused by the mother. So how is bringing up that fact any good to the conversation? It's not. Not all women are mindless killing, infant killing drones. So why bring it up at all? Why make it sound as if it's an argument? Yeah, but not all women do this. But I just want to say that women do this. Fuck that. Yeah, but not all men rape. No, but you just had to say that men do. So shut the fuck up, because that's bullshit.
So I just find it kind of weird that when we finally have come one step closer to an equal society, there are all these fucking idiots who will claim that women are taking over now.
I'm not going to claim that women are taking over, but how are we getting closer to an equal society when on average still for every woman that dies on a job, 7 to 9 men die on a job? When suicide is mostly a male problem. And, well, you know, there are more mostly male problems out there that are not being addressed. Yet we're still talking about perceived problems that have been eradicated a long time ago as if they are real. Come on, mate. I know you have balls. You are a boy or a man. Look it up. And I'm not saying you should hate women, or I'm not saying you should be against feminism. I know I am, but you don't have to be. But at least look it up. Know what you're talking about, because you're just spouting rhetoric out of nowhere.
What? Do you think they're taking over because we finally get their fucking voices heard? What are you, an idiot?
I'm sorry, mate. I don't think you're in the position to call anyone else an idiot. But no, men are not thinking women are taking over. And again, there's a huge difference between women and feminists. Are you an idiot that you cannot see that difference?
I mean, so you mean that things were better before when it was just all the men and all men could just abuse women and get away with it? Is that the kind of society you want?
That society has never existed, or at least not in the Western world. Because in the Western world, societies have always realized that there's an intrinsic difference in the value of men and women. And trust me, all societies in the past voted with their feet. And all the societies in the past chose that women are more important than men. This is why there is never a huge army made of women. This is why women were never sent to war. Men were expendable, women were not. I'm sorry, I mean, you're from, I think, a Scandinavian country, so you should know the Viking culture. You should know Germanic culture. Divorce is not a recent thing. This was already possible under the Germanic tribes, amongst them the Viking tribes. The position of a woman wasn't of a secondary citizen, but the position of a woman was definitely different than the one of a man. That being said, women were not asked to fight and die. Freya didn't open her gates, Frigga didn't open her gates to women who died by the sword. I mean, they were welcome if they were good mothers, but all they had to be was good mothers. For a man to go into Valhalla, he had to die by the sword, or by the axe, in combat in general, and then only he had a chance to be picked. Oh, man, I need to teach you your history? I need to teach you history. Seriously? Come on.
I just don't get it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't realize. I shouldn't have called you idiot then. I mean, it's not your fault. It's how you were born. I'm sorry.
So, to all of you out there who thinks that feminism is just some sort of hate towards men, and you insist on using the term feminazi to make him look silly, I ask you this. What the fuck is wrong with you, alright?
Yeah, I guess I'm going to stand down and let my good and latest friend, the family killjoy, Sophie answer your question right there.
Feminism to me is liberating all women from the oppression of men.
You may notice how she says the oppression of all women from men. So it's women against men. Now, if that's not segregatory, if that's not a hate movement for you, then I don't understand what is. So if you really wonder why the word feminazi came from, I suggest looking it up again.
Why is it so horrifying that women gets to have as much charge as us? What's the horror in that really? And the worst thing that even today women are still seen as a weaker gender.
What I find horrifying is your lack of knowledge. The problem is not that women should have the same opportunities as men, because I'm 100% for that. The problem is that men don't have the same opportunities as women, and women are still claiming that they have less than men and want more. That is the problem.
Well, guess what? I think a really weaker gender is us, men.
Well, if you are a gender, then yeah, sure, you are the weaker gender. I thought there were only two genders, male and female, but I don't mind, you can be the third gender. Weakness and strength are, well, open to multiple interpretations, but when they talk about the weaker gender in the case of women, they are talking about physical weakness. And on average, men have more upper body strength than women. This is not because men designed it that way. This is not because society is that way. This is biology. Again, pick up a book and read something.
Because we just keep finding new opportunities to fuck up daily lives women like that.
Sorry, mate, I haven't taken what you took, so I'm not in the same hallucination as you are. Can you give an example of that?
So, I encourage you all now, especially men, to condone the use of feminazi.
Okay, I said I wouldn't make any jokes about the lack of control of the English language you have, and I won't. I'm pretty sure you meant condemn. But the funny thing is, I do condone the use of the word feminazi. Hell, I even applaud it. More people should use the term feminazi where appropriate. Mind you, where appropriate, not all women are feminazis. And if there are women's standpoints that I can completely get behind, and that's not the argument whether it's a feminazi thing or not. It's not whether I can get behind it. But if you talk about egalitarianism, then yeah, I'm 100% behind it. But then again, feminazis aren't. So, yeah, funny how that works.
So we finally at least can come close to reaching a state of utopia.
No, mate, you can never, ever reach utopia when you're segregating society. And if you talk about how certain groups, be they race or gender, earned more respect or rights or privileges based on their race or gender, then you're not talking about people being equal, and therefore there will be a divide in your society, so there will not be a utopia. If anything, feminism is driving us further away from perceived utopia than closer to it.
Where both men and women have just as much a say in society.
You just perfectly described why it will never happen, especially not under feminism. Because men and women will never have the same rights, especially when it comes to feminism. Now, humanism and egalitarianism, they want equal rights. Feminism doesn't want equal rights, and you trying to talk for them can even be called mansplaining. I'm sorry, but you're trying to be a white knight for a group of people that don't have any interest in you whatsoever. They'll not fuck you, they'll fuck you over.
There should never be any discernible difference.
Well, not 100% agreeing with you on that one, though I do think that the position of men and women should be equal, which it currently isn't, because the position of women is far superior to the position of men by law and by society. But yeah, I've already mentioned that. I do believe men and women should be equal. I doubt that we will ever be 100% equal because of biology. I mean, there are certain things that women are better at than men. There are certain things that men are better at than women. Not recognizing that is what's stopping us from being equal. Because equal doesn't mean that we have to have the same thing. It means that we have the same value. Now, I work in social healthcare, and most of my colleagues are female. Why? On average, women are better at that job. Not all women, not all men, obviously, because I work there and I'm pretty good at my job too. But I have to admit that most of the women I work with, I have the utmost respect for because I really think they're brilliant. That does not mean I'm less than them. There are men who work in this field as well. Hell, I am one. That does not mean they are less than me. We are equal. Equality has nothing to do with what feminism portrays. I mean, there are laws protecting women that are not protecting men. I've mentioned this earlier. I can give you a list, but I'm not going to be bothered unless you ask. But really, you should read up on this shit. You should educate yourself. Don't listen to what a feminist is telling you. Look it up yourself. Go and find the information. How come when men are victims of domestic abuse and they flee the situation, there are hardly any shelters for them to go to, but there are plenty of women's shelters? How come there are Western European countries where men cannot be the victim of rape if it's perpetrated by a woman? How come female circumcision is illegal but man's circumcision is perfectly fine? I could go on. I'm not. I'm hoping you will look stuff up yourself and educate yourself. Will this happen?
Never.
Well, you can only hope to reach people. I mean, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. Anyway, this is my little response to, well, I forgot his name. Then again, I'll probably forget him as well. I did respond to it. I tried not to be too nasty. I know his English wasn't perfect, and I'm not going to attack him on that for the stupidest reason that the fact that the dude spoke English means that he at least speaks two languages. So I have respect for that. I am sorry to see that boys, are being brainwashed at this. I mean, seriously, you want to go for equalitarianism, you want to go for egalitarianism, you want to go for humanism, all the power to you. But go for a segregation movement that's segregating against you? Damn. I simply cannot understand that. Well done, mate. You broke my mind. Oh, yeah. I hope you liked it. If you have any questions or responses or whatever, drop them in the comments down below. And unlike some of the feminists I've posted links to in the past, I will not disable comments.